recognize Samishta, who I worked on this paper with her. The other co-author was Hans Binswanger, is in China, and he was supposed to be with us over Skype, but for some reason we have not been able to get in touch with him. So he's there somewhere in China. The paper that we are presenting today, and what I'm going to be talking about, is basically an attempt at asking a simple question. Why is it important to provide drinking water at the household level? And why is it important to have the Panchayats manage this drinking water? What are the welfare outcomes? We are not concerned so much about examining the mechanics of the provision of drinking water per se. That is taken as given. So we don't want to go and explore all over again what the governments have done or not done. Instead, we take that as something that has already taken place, and then we start exploring if we improve access to water for members of the household. Can we see any welfare effects? Welfare effects for members of the households. And are there gender variegated welfare effects? Are women better off because of improved provision of water supply? And in what way are they better off? If women spend less time accessing water, does it get translated, for example, into increased productivity, so to speak, of household work? Is the time that they spend doing household work more productive because of less time that they spend in accessing water, and because of this increased productivity, are they able to then go and work elsewhere gainfully in off-farm labor or self-employment or whatever? Therefore, their household income goes up. So you should understand that physical provision of drinking water is in itself is very nice, but we should also try to understand the broader welfare implications of this physical provision of water. So that's basically the storyline of this paper, because that is something that is very hard to pinpoint, because we don't have the data that links welfare outcomes to improved provision of water. There is hardly any attempt to try to understand intra-household, that is within household ramifications of reduced time fetching water. So if women members on an average spend less time in fetching water due to improved governance or due to their improved participation in the process of governance, does it then translate into welfare outcomes? That is the story here. Right? So, I always have tough time with computers, so here we go. So I kind of alternate between various forms of technology. So some casual empiricism. We have been trying to talk to members of households across the states. So here is something that I thought you should see. So for example, we went to a village in Maharashtra, and we found a Panchayat president, and we talked to this Panchayat president, and the Panchayat president said the following. There are 170 households in this village, living in 4 streets. All have regular access to water supply. Majority of the households have individual connections, and so basically what he is talking about is that there is this tremendous stuff happening here. There is improved access to water. Almost all households have access to water supply, and these taps are optimally located in the various streets. You should understand that Indian villages have a particular pathology. They are formed. They're historically formed. The streets have an identity, you see. And if the streets have an identity, then the access to public goods also are affected by that identity. There is enough evidence for us to suggest that households that are located in certain streets simply don't have access to certain types of public goods, or have less access to public goods compared to households living in other streets. There's a paper by Munshi and Rosenzweig based on our data set, which has shown that households that live on the same street as the elected representative have better access to public goods, and certainly for water. Therefore, location of hand pumps could be affected by where the elected representatives live. Right? And this has significant ramifications for households on an average across the streets within a given village. So here is a Pradhan that said that all wonderful things are happening. But then when we started examining this, there is this lady Anusuya who started talking. There is so we basically talked to a bunch of households within the village, and you see, we found something very interesting. This lady Mala started talking about this Anusuya, who was a previous sarpanch of this village, and Mrs. Mala started saying that for this discussion we should have invited that sarpanch. Now, why am I talking about this story? You see, we should understand that this important experiment called political reservations for women have significant effects. You see, political reservations for women happen to be a random experiment. On an average, 33% of the villages are reserved. The village that is reserved for a woman now need not be reserved again in the next period. But what is important for us to note is not that. But what is important for us to note is that when the woman is in power, there is on an average better adherence to rules. And these persist over time. And here is an evidence of that. Much of these things that have been put in place by this Panchayat Pradhan, who was the Pradhan previously, that is this lady, Mrs. Anusuya previously. Right now, she is not the Pradhan. She was a Pradhan previously. She undertook certain things. And those effects are still persisting. Right? So, I put this example to show that women representatives, I wanted you to see two things. Women representatives are basically undertaking certain things that are more germane to public goods like water. One. Two, the effects that they create last beyond their period. And thirdly, they are on an average egalitarian in the sense that they affect both males and females almost equally. Here is another example. So here is an example about women's involvement in governance. So this lady says that it's our involvement, for example, in the program that has given us the courage to speak. Basically, women are empowered; they are able to participate in the process of governance. I will show you very quickly what happens if women participate in the process of governance, right? Particularly in matters related to water. If they participate in the process of governance related to water, we will find a little later that problems germane to water reduce, ability to approach elected representatives to complain about problems related to water reduce, time to collect water reduce. A number of things happen when women are able to participate in the process of governance. And women certainly are able to more effectively participate in the process of governance if there are political reservations. And those effects persist even after the reservations lapse. So this is a very important phenomenon. So here is another example in Banaskantha. So you see it's all over the place. Here is an example where this lady has created streetwise meetings. You see, these all illustrate the fact that villages tend to be fragmented. Streets are important units of identification, and Panchayat Pradhans and leaders, local leaders, if they are able to understand that, generate much wider and bigger outcomes. So here we have a situation where Mr. Vijay Bhaskar would be interested, because this is something that was discussed